After winning a special election in November 2014, Congresswoman Adams was sworn in immediately as the 100th woman elected to the U.S. Congress. Representative Adams serves on the Committee for Financial Services, the Committee on Education and Labor, and the Committee of Agriculture. She holds committee leadership as roles as the committee woman of the Committee of Education and the Labor Subcommittee of Workforce Protections and vice chairperson of the Committee of Agriculture. She also serves on a host of other committees. I won't read all of these, but I will say is that she is an advocate of historically black colleges and universities. Representative Adams, throughout her career, has fought for quality education for students, and she has introduced tons of legislation to provide nutritious breakfast for schools, to increase pay for teachers, and for 40 years, she taught art at a fellow historically black college, Bennett College. And while at Bennett, and I have to read this, she led efforts to increase student civic participation, coining the phrase, Bennett bells are voting bells. Now, before serving as a member of Congress, and while she was at Bennett, she also served as a member of the North Carolina General Assembly, and she served 9 years on the Greensboro City Council. She is a graduate of North Carolina A&T. She has one daughter, one son, 4 grandchildren, and as I said, she is a graduate of North Carolina A&T, and she received her Master's of Art in Art Education and a Ph.D. in Art Education and Multicultural Education from Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. Today, we are pleased and proud to have Congresswoman Alma Adams to deliver our 2022 commencement address. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Congresswoman Alma Adams.
Good morning, Fiskites. Today is graduation day, and I feel nothing but pride and joy. And you know, I love the song by that says, "Good morning, gorgeous." Good morning to Dr. Van Newkirk, the illustrious president of Fisk University, to the distinguished platform guests, to Chair Sims and the members of the Board of Trustees, to the faculty and staff, and to the awesome, courageous stars of today, the phenomenal class of 2022. Congratulations. I am so honored to be with you today for the 148th commencement of one of the finest institutions in this country in Nashville, Tennessee, the phenomenal Fisk University. And I understand that this is your first commencement on campus since 2008. Let's give it up for that. President Newkirk, thank you for your very gracious introduction and for your outstanding leadership here at Fisk University. And also, Mr. President, I not only applaud your stellar leadership, but also your academic leadership in North Carolina and throughout this nation at our HBCUs and other educational institutions across the country. I thank you as well. And for your incredible leadership, Mr. President, and for your commitment to serve, thank you so much. And particularly from our alma mater, North Carolina A&T State University, I bring you a big old loving Aggie pride. You know, I also want to thank Congressman Cooper, who has served this institution as a member of the U.S. Congress, and I understand he's going to be retiring, but I want to thank him for his work and for his service. You know, to the moms and to the dads and to the brothers and sisters, to all of the extended family members, to the faculty and to the staff for your support, for your guidance and for your nurturing and shaping these young minds. Thank you for being a rock for them every step of the way. And this is your day too. So let's give a round of applause for our families and our faculty and everybody who played a part. I do want to bring you cordial greetings this morning from the more than 800,000 residents of North Carolina's 12th Congressional District, from our Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, from all of my colleagues, including the 59 members of the Congressional Black Caucus and over 100 members of the Congressional Bipartisan HBCU Caucus. Now, you've got to know by now that I am HBCU strong. And some folk call me the godmother of HBCUs. So my job has been and unapologetically continue to be to protect our HBCUs. So graduates, today is your day, and you have every reason to be proud. We're proud of how hard you worked. Those long hours in the classroom, in the library, those jobs you worked to help pay your tuition. But we know you had some fun along the way too. But many of you are first in your families to get a college degree. I know a little something about that. And I know that you balance school with raising families sometimes. And had it not been for the good Lord on your side, had it not been for prayers from Mom and them and Lottie Dottie and everybody, had it not been for preparation, meeting opportunity, you could have been someplace else. But you are here on this fabulous HBCU campus, and you've been here for such a time as this. You've come this far by faith because somebody helped pave your way. Somebody sacrificed and went without food and money so you could sit in those classrooms and live in those dorms, drive those automobiles, and walk across this stage today. And for all of those individuals who believed in your opportunity, you owe a debt of gratitude. It wasn't an easy journey. There were stumbling blocks in your way, but you used those stumbling blocks as stepping stones to get you to where you needed to go. Your tenacity, your courage, and your hard work helped you to get to this milestone. And even during moments of doubt and frustration, you still dug deep. And you kept pushing forward to make it to this magnificent day. So 2022 graduates, even during unprecedented times, particularly during a pandemic, you made it. You all lived and studied through this pandemic for the past 2 years. And not only is it a true test of your endurance, but it is also a reminder that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. These turbulent times serve as a reminder indeed to what lies ahead at the end of the struggle as you now embark upon new beginnings. And while living through these challenges, you didn't just complete an important chapter in your own story. You also became part of the story of this great university, a story of scholarship and service that began 156 years ago, cultivating scholars and leaders one by one. Students, you are HBCU excellent and proudly stand on the shoulders of giants like the civil rights icon who walked this campus, John R. Lewis, leaving you a legacy to emulate and to admire. He led marches himself, I'm told, in recent years with students on this campus. An institution that opened its doors in 1866, named in honor of General Clinton A.B. Fisk of the Tennessee Freedmen's Bureau, provided the institution with facilities in former Army barracks with its first students ages 7 to 70, shared a common interest in slavery and poverty. Fisk was the first American university to offer a liberal arts education to young men and women, irrespective of color. And in 1867, the Fisk Freed Color School was renamed and reorganized, incorporated as Fisk University to focus on higher education. And throughout those 156 years, with a curriculum grounded in liberal arts, a mission of producing graduates from diverse backgrounds with the integrity and the intellect required for substantive contributions to society, you've been about in the embodiment of excellence through the university's core values represented in details: diversity, excellence, teamwork, accountability, integrity, leadership, and service. That's the institution's commitment to the responsibility of shaping the graduates that we have today. Recognized nationally for architectural, historic, and cultural significance, Fisk University consistently ranks among the top 10 historically black colleges and universities in the U.S. World Report. For this, you ought to be proud. You know, you've graduated at this institution more African Americans who go on to earn Ph.D.s in the natural sciences than any other institution. And in 1930, you became the first African American institution to gain accreditation of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. A student-centered place of true excellence, turning passions into careers. This HBCU has made strides in all areas of the industry. You know, I count it an awesome privilege today and a blessing to be able to walk the same campus of my dear friend and colleague, the late Congressman John R. Lewis, who walked these campuses as a student. As a professional artist and retired 40-year art professor, to be able to witness the extraordinary murals on this campus of Harlem Renaissance artist Aaron Douglas is beyond imagination. So students, you know, you are among some notable and outstanding alums who walked these halls and who sat where you're sitting today. John Hope Franklin and Nikki Giovanni, Hazel O'Leary and Janetta Betch Cole and John Lewis and many more. And whether it's been about curriculum, faculty, alums, or students, Fisk University has been all about excellence. And graduates, because Fisk is about excellence, that makes you all about excellence too, because you are HBCU strong. And as a Fisk graduate, you have now the awesome responsibility to continue the phenomenal legacy of this institution. And you join the ranks of Fiskites whose values support the university's mission of grooming the next generation of leaders. So Fisk Bulldogs, the ball is in your court now. And now it's your time to lead. You know, like many of you, I was the first in my family to go to college. My mom did domestic work. She cleaned white folks' houses so I could get a good education. She didn't finish high school herself, never attended an HBCU or any CU for that matter. But she understood how important education would be in my life, and indeed it has. An HBCU in Greensboro, North Carolina, took this poor black girl who walked those ghetto streets of Newark, New Jersey, and made a committed investment in me, just like Fisk did for each of you. They molded and shaped me into what they knew I could become. And after completing my bachelor's and master's degrees there, I was able to go on and get my Ph.D. from the Ohio State University, but only because of the North Carolina A&T and HBCU. You know, HBCUs understand our value, and we help students realize that you're not your circumstance, and where you start out in life doesn't have to determine where you're going to end up or just how far you can go. You know, after walking those ghetto streets, I'm now able to walk the halls of Congress. After 4 decades at an HBCU, I am absolutely, Mr. President, convinced that some of the most gifted and talented students and faculty and staff are on these campuses. So whatever your affiliation with this historic place is, you have every reason to be proud today because you are HBCU strong. Mr. President, we've all been challenged by this pandemic. For more than 2 years now, our HBCUs are still struggling to bounce back and rise from beneath the ashes, and yes, we must work together. But Congress, too, must be an accountable stakeholder to address failing infrastructure on our campuses, unequal funding in the absence of 1890 land grant matches from state governments, and the crushing student debt which totals nationally $1.8 trillion. $1.8 trillion. Student debt is too damn high. You know, across the country, HBCUs have $25 billion in deferred maintenance, and the cost is climbing. And that's why I filed, Mr. President, H.R. 3294, the bipartisan Ignite HBCU Excellence Act. So we've got to ignite these fires and do what we need to do on our campus to address those infrastructure needs. And I understand that you've got some buildings that are going up. The first building in 50 years, the parish building, the first science building since 1931. That should not be. It shouldn't take that long. You know, ladies and gentlemen, if we ignore this problem, we will not do justice to adequately prepare the next Supreme Court justice like Ketanji Brown Jackson, the next Lisa Cook, the first black woman nominated to serve on the Federal Reserve, or Roz Brewer, the CEO of Walgreens. And you know, I remember Shirley Chisholm when she visited our campus at Bennett when I was teaching there. And I remember her words when she said, you know, if you don't have a seat at the table, you need to bring in a folding chair. But now we have a seat on the bench. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we got to stay woke to ensure that the institutions of higher learning that educate our most underprivileged students who were founded for this purpose have access to equal funding and equal support. And I'm going to say it again, equal funding and equal support. You know, with under-resourced and minuscule budgets, HBCUs like Fisk University have been punching above their weight, and they continue to do a lot with a little. The pandemic allows us to see things differently, and despite roadblocks or obstacles, HBCUs are still charged to meet the challenge of the 21st century and to prepare students for jobs for today and tomorrow. Our schools believe in opportunity, the importance of education that W.E.B. Du Bois talked about when he said that of all of the civil rights for which the world has struggled and fought for 500 years, the right to learn is undoubtedly the most fundamental. So graduates, as you receive your degrees today, I pray that you will always cherish and value your beginnings and that fundamental right to learn, because it's because of those beginnings that you are here for such a time as this. So never forget the road that you've traveled and the bridges that helped you cross. Fisk took you where you were. They got you to where you needed to be. They shaped and they molded you into what they knew you could become. Why? Because this historic HBCU, like all of our schools, believes in that opportunity. Graduates to whom much is given, much is required. And so my challenge to you is not to get it and go, but to get it and give. Give back to your community. Give back to your school, to those who helped pave your way, who sacrificed and brought you along. You know, the founders of this school have always been clear, and you should be now, about the institution's values and the unique mission of service and that vision that the president talks about now. Because service is indeed the rent we pay for living on this earth, so keep yours paid up. Your role and goal as you depart from these sacred walls should be undergirded by service to all mankind with the goal of transforming your communities. So young people, embrace the responsibilities that come with that degree you're going to get today. Fiskites, you are HBCU strong, and you are fully prepared to lead. So today is in your hands. Tomorrow will be too. There are the obligations that come with a Fisk University education, and how you fulfill those will be determined by how you live your lives. Your Fisk education has taught and shown you the way to go. So now that you know the way, it's up to you to go the way. You know, as our nation continues to persevere through this pandemic, graduates, you, the class of 22, you will be the one that we'll depend on to pick up that torch and lead our world out of darkness into the light. Young people, the education that Fisk has provided for you will yield substantive benefits. And I believe that if anyone can do it, can take a moment, take a cause, and turn it into a movement to bring change to this world, it's you, because it's your time to step up and stand out, and you've got the power to do that. In this world of Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat, you all didn't think I knew about all that. You can reach billions in seconds, and you can produce change in seconds as well. You know, so graduates, as you prepare to move on to other ventures in life, I want you to consider a few things as you seek to accomplish your goals. Remember that life is not linear. It's not a straight line. So keep your sights on your goal, but don't be afraid to round a few curves, maybe make a detour to explore new opportunities. And once the doors open for you, keep the doors open for the next person. And you see, as you climb Jacob's ladder, and every round goes higher and higher, reach back and bring somebody else along. Be open to your dreams and always have hope. Even if your dreams seem impossible, strive to achieve them anyway. And always believe in yourselves and what you can do. Don't let anybody else define you. Remember the old African proverb, it's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. And then exhibit good standards of character and integrity, because character is what distinguishes you as an individual. After all, you are everything Fisk. And make good choices. By all means, be accountable and persistent to face the many challenges that are yet to come, because tomorrow will be up to you. And I'm reminded of the many artistic and cultural treasures on this campus. So as I conclude my remarks, I've got to share an old story that I heard a long time ago. It's about a man named George Ellis. He lived about 100 years ago. Ellis was not an educated man. He didn't get a Fisk education. He was not privy to go to any HBCU either. No, Ellis was a janitor. And so his job was to clean up after the artist Daniel Chester French. Some of you may have heard of artist French. And I get to see one of the most famous works by this artist quite a bit in Washington, D.C. on the National Mall. French is the one who carved the figure of Abraham Lincoln for the Lincoln Memorial. So day after day, week after week, month after month, Janitor Ellis went about his work, barely saying a word to Mr. French other than an occasional hello or goodbye. And then one day, just when artist French had nearly completed his masterpiece, Ellis spoke up and he said, "Mr. French, I have a question for you." And so the artist responded, "What is it?" And he said, "Well, what I want to ask you is how you knew all along that Mr. Lincoln was sitting inside that block of marble." You know, graduates, you all might think that that's a silly question, but not so fast. Because sometimes in our lives, we see blocks of marble and some people cannot see what's inside and some people can. That's called vision. You know, during these times of panic and pain and pandemic and uncertainty, that was a profound question that the janitor asked about how we recognize the potential within each of us and chisel away at what is keeping it locked inside. And so I'm confident that because of your Fisk University education at this phenomenal institution, that the knowledge and the skill set that each of you have acquired at this historic place has provided the vision and the ability for each of you to look inside the stones that will encounter on your journey through life. And because you are HBCU strong, you are without a doubt fully prepared for the future. You know, preparation met opportunity for each of you here on this campus. And I know as scholars and leaders with a global perspective that you'll indeed be chiseling away at whatever obstacles lie in your path as you break new ground to transform your communities. And so as you do, remember the words of Emerson, who said that most of the shadows in one's lifetime come from standing in one's own sunshine. So graduates, as you continue your journey and as it unfolds, don't stand in your own sunshine and don't allow anybody else to block your view. God bless you. Congratulations.